So at the end of this session, just to let you know, if you go back to the main room, then you're going to have to take a short break before you go on. So if you're thinking when you get to the end and I forget to tell you, make sure you go back to the main room, and then you'll be able to see what the next kind of session is that's up and coming. This session, though, is volunteer experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So it's essentially where there's things you can do in Team Kinetic which are either on or off, and it depends on your organizer, you know, how the structure of your organization, how you use the system, to whether it's on or off. But it's kind of right or wrong, you know. Does it match the way that you want the system to perform? Then there's other areas which you can do, but you can do a good job of it, or you can do a bad job of it, and that's what we're talking about here: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, so the areas we're going to be covering are these areas here. Are these areas here. So we have, basically look and feel of the site, customizing the emails, document hub, and I can't, and then we've got some questions at the end. And there's a second one that I can't quite see here, which is a bit annoying. But just that. Okay, oh, onboarding your volunteers, that's right. Okay, so on to the next one. So first of all, we're going to look at the look and feel, things look and feel of the site. Now, there's some fundamental things. So these are kind of things I've obviously done training for years and years on the Team Kinetic system. And when I look at systems afterwards, I say, oh yeah, they've figured out how to do that particular thing. Sorry, I've got a question here. Will we get a copy of the slides available? There's actually a handout, which, thank you for reminding me that, Anne. There's a handout which covers everything that I'm going to talk about now, kind of explains how to do it as well, to go with this. So you don't have to worry about taking down notes unless you want to. But there is a handout which is supplied, which kind of gives you instructions around, more detailed description of these slides, I should say, including some instructions. So, so one of the things I do notice when people set up sites is they'll figure out, okay, I've learned how to upload an image to my front page, for example, or something like that. But then they don't fully understand, you know, why the image is blurry, why it's low quality, why their system doesn't look very professional compared to someone else who's also using Team Kinetic. And quite often, one of the biggest things is just the image quality is a huge part of it. Now, images, for those, some of you are going to know this, and other people won't, but images are made up of what we call pixels. Okay, I'm going to do a very high level kind of understanding of how they're made up, which would be important for you. So they're made up of pixels, basically dots that go across and dots that go down. And depending on what color those dots are, eventually it creates an image. Now, when you upload an image, so you take a picture of your camera and you upload it to the internet, whether it's Facebook or whether it's Team Kinetic, it has to downgrade that image. Okay, and it has to, otherwise it just takes too long to load up the web page. So for example, you went to Facebook, if they hadn't downgraded those images you see on Facebook, it might take you 30 or 40 seconds for the page to actually load up, because these are huge, you know, a picture might be 3 megabytes, it might make huge files. So we need to downgrade, so we automatically downgrade the images to a certain degree. But it's always a bit of a balance, how to downgrade it enough where it's going to load up in a respectable time. You know, you're not going to feel like you're waiting for 2 or 3 seconds for the page to load up. But at the same time, the image looks crisp and does look professional. Okay, now there's one of the key kind of mistakes that I see is people will download an image from the internet already, which has already been downgraded, and then they'll re-upload it to the system, which can create issues. And they'll say, well, why isn't it high quality? Well, because the original image that you're actually uploading to Team Kinetic is not a high quality image, because you've got it from the internet already. So someone's took a picture, uploaded it to the internet, which has reduced the quality of it. Then you've copied it down to downloaded it to your computer, and then you're trying to use it again with Team Kinetic. And obviously the quality is never going to be anywhere near as good as that original image that was taken with the camera. So the short takeaway of this is, if at all possible, try and get the original images. You know, speak to your marketing team if you have a marketing team, or find out who took the pictures and get those original images. Usually, if they know what they're doing, the person who's kind of uploaded the images will keep that original one, so that can be sent to other people. Although they might be uploading it to the internet in different ways in different places. Also, zooming in and out of pictures will also lose quality. So you might think, well, what do you mean by zooming, Steve? Well, if the system, Team Kinetic, there's some areas where the image is very long, maybe 3 times wider than it is tall. Okay, Now, if you're uploading a square image into a very much rectangular box, square peg, round hole kind of scenario, okay, there's no way around it, whether you're doing that in our system or whether you're doing that on pieces of paper on your table in front of you. You can't get that to fit without having to chop off part of the image, or cropping the image. Imagine you've got a square image, long rectangular box. How do you make that fit? You can't without chopping off some of that image. Okay, and by chopping off some of that image, it also has to kind of zoom in on the image to make it fit the right width. So by zooming in, it will lose quality. As you can imagine, if you know, even if you stare at your screen, if you put your eyes close enough to the screen, you're going to start seeing, you know, less and less. You know, you start seeing issues with the blurring around the edge of the lines. It doesn't look quite so crisp, and it's exactly the same kind of scenario. Okay, so yeah, short takeaway: use the original images. Okay, now this next one here, we have different file types. Okay, and you know, Excel files, Word files. There's a Word document there, and each of these file types. This is just computers in general. You know, you have a Word file is .doc, Excel file is .xls at the end of it. Okay, which means it's going to open up Excel, and that the name the .doc or .xls, that's what dictates what system it's going to open up in. Now, when you're dealing with what I see quite often is people don't fully understand that, and they'll try and upload a PDF document to something, a .pdf, to something that's looking for an image document. It's looking for a picture file. Okay, so what little fun task here for you. Out of these icons on the left-hand side, I'm going to put a quick poll up and see how many you can identify are image files, are picture files, essentially, things that you could upload as a picture. So can I see this poll anywhere? I can't see this poll. Where's the poll appear?
I think go in activities. It's like the triangle with the three symbols.
Ah, right, okay. Ah, perfect. Yep, so we have some votes in there, please. So how many of those icons that you see, it's popped up now. I think having votes, great. So how many of those icons that you see on the left, how many of them do you think are picture files? Okay. So none of them say XLS, and none of them are Excel, none of them say doc, so none of them are Word documents. How many are picture files, do you think? I'll give you 5 more seconds. Okay. Okay. So we have some 4s, quite a few 3s, some 2s, and then a couple, one person says 10 and one person says 12. Oh, and Ann Kemp said 5. It's typed that in. Okay. Can the person who said 3s, you unmute your mic, one of you? Can I see who did it? Who said it? Oh, I can't, can I? And tell me what 3 you think. Oh, wait, there, not 3, sorry. Somebody said 6. And tell me, see if you can name a couple of them, which ones you think. I reckon I could guess which ones you're going to pick out first. So one of you unmute your mic for me.
I said 6.
Did you? Thank you. And which ones are you confident about, first of all? Which ones you?
The first 4 at the top row.
Yes, there. Yes.
EPS.
Yes.
And then I wasn't sure about TIFF was my last one.
Yeah, TIFF. I don't know what TIFF stands for, to be honest with you. But TIFF is
Transferable Image Foundation, something.
Thank you, Rolf. There we are. Yeah. So yes, TIFF is an image file. So yeah, the ones I guess, and the ones that people are most used to are JPEGs, JPG files, and PNG files, PNG files. Okay, but actually, every single one of them is an image document, is an image file, is a picture file essentially. Okay. So if it's not in that list and you're trying to upload it to a system as a picture, it probably won't work. And most importantly, PDF is not a picture file. That's a common issue that I see. Okay, now, so when you're uploading, I always recommend, mostly you're going to upload JPEG. So when you're uploading an image, whether it's to your front page, whether it's into an email or whatever it is within Team Kinetic, I always recommend using PNG files. Okay, now you're either going to upload a JPEG file or a PNG in 95% of the time, probably 99% of the time. They're the two file types which are most common by a long shot. Now, if you upload JPEG, it does load faster, but the quality is better in PNG files, .png files. Okay, but the problem with PNGs, it takes slightly slower at loading up. But the reality is the difference in the load time is so insignificant that I do recommend you use PNG files. Another thing about PNG files is they offer transparency as well. So with PNG files, you can have an image, and whatever you move it over, the kind of background around the image is all transparent. So you can drop it in place, and you can't get that with JPEG files. Okay. Any questions with that? I can't see the questions when I do that. Nope. Good. Okay. So choosing the right background. Now, when it comes to choosing the right background, one of the common things I see is people will choose a center focal point. So you know what I mean by focal point in the picture? Like the focal point now, the picture you're looking at me is me, my head. Now it's over here. You get the idea. That's your focal point. What people are drawn to, what you want them to see, first of all. Now, obviously, if you have a focal point in the middle of an image, like this top example here, then you can't see the faces. It's all obscured. And I see this quite a lot where people go, oh, that's a really nice picture. Then they forget, though, what's actually going to sit on top of the picture once they've uploaded it within the Team Kinetic system. Okay, so what I do recommend is, and I should say the bits that are obscured may slightly differ as well, depending on what device people are actually looking at the picture. So it's not clear cut. So it's better if you can to choose either an image which is non-centered focal point. That's a mouthful, isn't it? So an image which is like the bottom left-hand corner with the hands going up. So there's lots and lots of focal points, and you can produce that in another nice way of producing that kind of multiple focal points is a montage, a photo montage, which some of our customers have done, and it looks really good. Okay, but then you don't have to worry about what size screen they're looking at, etc. There's always going to be a few focal points that they can actually view. So yeah, so have a think after this session. Have a think about, what does my front screen look like? Is anything obscured? Should I do a montage or choose a different image? Okay, next one with logos. There's not too much to mention about logos, to be honest with you, apart from choose a high quality, all the same stuff as before. Choose a high quality logo. Okay. I saw one yesterday, and the images were really good, taken with the camera, and they were superb. But then the logo was just lower quality, and it's the little things that make such a big difference when you don't know what it is when you stare at a web page. Think, why does this not look as professional as the other pages? And it's nearly always that. It's just the image quality is not quite there. So try and get hold of the original logo, speak to your marketing team, find out who's got a copy of that, and re-upload that to the system. You can change the sizes of those logos as well, for those of you not aware. When you're uploading it, you have the ability to say how many pixels wide. So you can say, now you know what pixels are. So you can say how many, and just adjust it, have a look at it, refresh the page. Are you happy with the size of it? No, I'm not. Upload it again and make the readjustment. Now we have a change, I think called a message box on here, which is relatively new thing. And we've done an update literally last week on the message box, allowing people to change the background and the text color. Now this next poll here is who uses the message box. This is me, who's interested. Who on this meeting uses that message box, which is a little box that appears above the login button. You see the arrow pointing down to it. So I'll give you 20 seconds to poll. Okay, we've got 2 no's. I'm guessing there's somebody on this call who uses the message box. Nope, well, Maya says no. If you click on Sienna, do they have to click on the activities to be able to see this poll the same as me?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. If you're not sure, yeah, if you click on the activities, which is like the bottom right hand corner of your screen, there's a triangle with a square and a circle. If you click on that and then click on poll or polls, and you'll be able to see the polls. We're on poll number 2 of 7.
Steve, can I ask a question about the message box?
Of course you can, yeah.
Where is that showing? Is that showing on the volunteer facing or the admin facing?
on the volunteer facing. Do you see that screenshot?
That on mine.
Do you see that screenshot to the left-hand side there?
Yeah.
Well, it will only show something if you've typed something in there. It won't show an empty message box. So you have to type something into the message box.
So it's something you put in as an admin. Okay.
Yeah, it's something you put in as an admin. Yeah. Super admin menu, look and feel, and then it's in within that look and feel section. I think it's on front page within look and feel. Super admin, look and feel, front page. That's a memory for you, isn't it? Yeah, and you can type something into there. You can also change the text color in the background, which was a bit of an issue before for people. But if that's the reason you weren't using it before, which I heard a couple of people say, then you can do that now. So feel free to go in and use it. The kind of things, as I mentioned on the slide, the kind of things people use it for are, inform when a registration ends. Tends to be for events and things, so people know, okay, I might not register this second, but at least I know I've got 3 days left, and then I have to register the next 3 days. Organization strap lines, sometimes, pretty rare though. I think I've seen that once ever. Strap line is like your, strap line, your tagline, they call it. Usually have it. Your marketing team will know what it is if you mention that to them. Clarify what the system's for. That can be useful. We offer netball related opportunities across the Northwest, for example, something like that can be useful. Or to clarify who could register. Only register if you are, if you are an employee of our organization, or only register if you are a student of our university, for example. Or okay, so they're the kind of reasons that I tend to see, but you could use it for anything that you see fit. Okay, so that's your message box up there. And one person user, who's the person who uses the message box? Just want to unmute yourself and just let me know your name. Somebody's voted yes to using the message box. But it's anonymous. It doesn't help me. Okay, maybe we'll leave it then.
Steve, if you can clarify, sorry, where that is, because I can't find it in my system, and it might just be me being dim, but at some point later on, if it can come up in the chat, just to clarify where that is, that'd be helpful.
Well, how to set it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did super admin and I did look and feel, but I don't have message board. I just get like a whole list of other things. Slider buttons, slider buttons and things on mine. But...
Yeah, there's two. We provide two versions of the front page.
I think
one's the old one, which is a lot more involved, a lot more complicated, and people weren't getting the most out of it. So this is the sort of easier, newer one.
Can we update to that then, Rolf?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just open a support ticket. Let me know.
I forgot there's still some people using that the old style front page. So there's two different front pages. We had the original classic style front page, which was different to this, and then we've had this style front page, which is kind of much slicker, etc. So obviously the message box appears on the new style front page and the old one. There's areas to type in things on the old one, but that's a different kind of template, so it wouldn't appear if you're using that old template. So yeah, we'll send that. If you're not sure, want to switch over to this new style front page, then just let us know. It's just an option we switch in the database. That's all. Yeah, Mayor. I think you do have the old one actually, Mayor. Yes. Okay. So next slide. So footers. So footers are the bit. So footers are the bits at the bottom of a web page. Essentially, if someone, imagine a user is scrolling down the page and they don't see what they're looking for, eventually they'll hit the footer. And it's shown here on the left-hand side, this black kind of, well, it's got a red box around it, but this black footer box. And you can put whatever you want to put into that footer. It's up to you. Okay. A lot of customers don't have a footer at all. That's perfectly fine. Some of them decide they want to use the footer. The kind of things I tend to see in the footer are, as you see in there, the address, links to popular pages. Might be popular pages within our system. It might be popular pages on your normal website. Sponsor information and logos. I've seen that in there before. Legal information, kind of legal information in there. It might be a link to the kind of T's and C's of the system, or sometimes they have a final call for action, like what you want them to do, like a register now kind of thing. In case they scroll down, you still want them to register or log in. So they're the kind of things I'll see in the footer. So if you don't use the footer, I'm not interested, that's perfectly fine. If you do use it, then just be aware, or you're interested in use it, then you can get to it from the super admin menu, setup. Oh no, super admin menu, look and feel, and then its footer. Like I say, all this is explained in the support and documentation as well. Okay, the About Us page. The About Us page. So what I see with the About Us page is people either don't do it at all, which is bad because you can access it, any user can access it very easily, one click away from your front page. So you should definitely populate that if you haven't already done so. Or if they do it, they just put in text and they don't put any images in. Now, images make a big difference to this, okay, to the look and feel of any site. If you just get plain text, it can be a lot. It can be taxing on the eyes. It doesn't look very visually appealing. So just putting in 1 or 2 images can really make a difference. As you can see there on the left-hand side on the slide, it really make a difference to a page. Some people I notice are not sure about how to, they get a bit confused. This is where maybe I might be inclined to, this is Darren, might be inclined to jump off my original brief of presentation flow and actually show you what I mean by this. I think I will actually. Okay, can you see my mouse moving around here still? Someone shouts yes. Yep. Yep. I'm guessing you can, yeah. So if you go to the, no? Yeah, I'll have to change the slide again. You know what, I'll come back to it at the end. I'll change the slide, I'll show you at the end. But when people insert images, often they're not quite sure what they're doing. But basically, when you're inserting an image into the Team Kinetic, it has to be uploaded to our server, to our Team Kinetic server, which holds all the information about it. So you have to upload the image first of all. There's lots of tools in there. You can put like a border around the edge, like I have on here, so you can kind of space it out from the text to make sure it kind of sits on its own. And there's loads of other tools. You can put links in there and all sorts of stuff. I might jump onto that at the end actually and show you how to do that. Provider profile pages. Provider profile pages. Can you put videos in? Oh, to the can you put videos in? You wouldn't be able to. You can put links to videos in to these things. You can't run videos. The issue is you need specific servers to be able to stream videos, videos, you know, efficiently, like YouTube has. So it's not that easy to do. They tend to upload them. Rolf, you want to jump in there? Rolf knows more about this stuff than me, the technical side of the videos.
When you see embed links from things like YouTube and stuff like that, they usually use an iframe to embed into the page. And that's iframes are a big security risk because you can put anything in them, but they look like they're part of the main page. So we don't allow iframes. So that excludes most sort of embed type methods and putting videos in. Usually what people do is put an image, the image you get, the sort of trailer image for the video with a link out to the video. That image.
Right, smashing. Thanks, Rolf. Hopefully that's cleared up that for you. So on to the provider profile pages. Now, this is a bane of contention for a number of people, I know. Now, why is it important? What are they, first of all? The provider profile page is a page which is specific to each provider, and it basically says what kind of volunteering they offer, generally. They'll have an image on there, they'll have a piece of text. You can see there from the bottom left-hand image, image on there, a piece of text, then underneath, it will list all of their open opportunities. So why have it? Well, for 2 purposes. One of them is each provider profile page has a unique web address, which they can share and put on posters and send out with emails and this, that, and the other, which means that if a volunteer, so imagine it's a netball club who has a provider profile page, someone turns up at the netball club and says, I really want to volunteer with you, rather than sending them to the main system and have to find that netball club, they can direct them to their provider profile page. They can share their provider profile page link, which means that the volunteer sees first and foremost their images, the images about that provider, text about that provider, and opportunities that netball club is offering, because that's what they're obviously most interested in. They've already said that, so show them the information that's relevant to them first and foremost. The main reason, rather than actually sharing the links, which happens sometimes, but it's quite rare, is if a volunteer is searching for opportunities. If you look at that top screenshot there, where it says good neighbors volunteer. So if they're on that search page and they're scrolling down, they can see next to each opportunity, they can see the category. So above where it says good neighbors volunteer, it says the category, which is getting out and about. Then it says the name of the provider, Community Champions, and underneath it says the opportunity name, Good Neighbors Volunteer. Now, if they click on the opportunity name, it goes to the opportunity with all the rest of the information there. If they click on the provider name, it will go to the provider profile page. And if they haven't populated that provider profile page, then all they're going to get is the name of the provider, then a list of open opportunities, which is fine, but it's not ideal. Ideally, you really want them to put a bit of blurb in. You know, we're a netball club in the Northwest and we offer these types of opportunities, refereeing, you know, all that kind of stuff, and explain the kind of things that they do. Okay, so if you can, try and get your providers to populate those pages. They only got to do it once. Try and get them to populate those pages. If you want to populate it for them, you do have to impersonate the provider. It's one of the very few things in the system where you have to impersonate. You can't do it logged in as admin. You have to impersonate the provider to populate that provider's profile page. Okay. Is there any questions around that? I don't see any questions on here. Nope. Good. Okay. CSS code. Now I know most of you in here on this meeting, including me to a certain degree, feel like, what on earth is CSS code? CSS code, it stands for, do you want to bring the poll up for me? Actually, we've got a poll on this, haven't we? New poll is launched. So click on your little activities button, click on polls. And it's poll number 3. Okay. Does anyone know CSS code, or someone in your organization who may know of it and know how to use it? My answer would be yes, because Rolf knows it. Me personally, I don't know CSS code. Okay, someone does know. Who said yes? Shall I jump in there? Who knows CSS?
I mentioned it. It's something I've come across when I did IT at uni.
Oh, look at you. I didn't do that module at uni, actually. Yeah, any idea what it stands for, CSS?
Yeah, custodian style sheets.
Look at you. I'm impressed. Impressed. Yep. But basically, it's a computer language, in layman's terms. It's a computer language like HTML code is a computer language, CSS is a computer language. And we have the ability in the system to go and alter quite dramatically the look, feel of your system if you know about CSS code. It's not the kind of thing you would have a go at unless you were pretty IT literate. But at the same time, it's not that hard. There's loads of information online you could go to kind of read up on it and see how you can actually make those adjustments. This page here on the screenshot is someone who's kind of really gone to town with the CSS code. It's one of our customers, Volunteer Passport. It's one of our customers there, and that is actually the same front page that many of the old style front page that many of you used. So remember we spoke before about the old style front page, which looks a bit like that there, although that's been kind of souped up using CSS code. And then you got the new style front page, which just has a little bit in the middle, little login and register button in the middle. So that's someone who's used the old style one, but they've altered it using CSS code. Okay. So next, HTML. So run the next poll for me, if you can, Sienna. Okay, so who knows what HTML stands for? There's a poll here. Bit of fun. Have a crack at the poll. Ooh, votes are in. Got 1 person on higher textual manipulation language and 6 people on hypertext markup language. Okay, 7 people. Yeah, you're only voting for that one because everyone else has voted for it. We're not falling for that. Okay, we've got 2 people now for the higher textual manipulation language. Well, the 7 people were right. Okay, it's hypertext markup language, which is a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? But essentially, it's a fundamental code that websites are written in. Okay, and you might have the HTML, but then you have other codes which are kind of inserted in the middle of that, like our widget, which Chris mentioned earlier on. But essentially, HTML is that kind of builds the fundamentals of the websites. It can be used within pretty much emails. Most emails through our system, you can actually see, you can alter how the email looks by using HTML. And the way you do that is, so for example, if you were going to your customize emails page, you know, where you have like, you can see your list of all the automatically sent emails from the system, which I'm going to come on to shortly. But you can see all those emails and you can edit them and you can change the text. Okay, you send in a bulk email, you can change the text, obviously, put in the subject title and put in the body of the text that you want to send in the email. But if you click on the source button, which is shown in that screenshot in the top left, if you click on that source button, it's going to change the text that you typed in and show you the underlying HTML code. Okay, now this is something you could probably have a go at yourself. You know, I'm okay with HTML, and I'm pretty sure it's not rocket science. You know, there's loads of information on the internet about it. But even just looking at it, you can figure it out. It's not rocket science. So if you wanted to, if you think, well, actually, this email is a bit bland, I want to change the, I want to format it a bit more. Not just using the tools that are available to me. As you can see, there's a toolbar in the screenshot in the bottom left. Not just using, I just want to make it bold or italic. I really want to kind of change quite a lot of it, the look and feel of the text. Then you can do that by altering the HTML code. Okay, so that's something I do recommend have a go at. Worst case scenario is just delete it and just put in the raw text again. But have a go at it, and it does make a big difference to your emails, the look and feel of your emails. Okay, onboarding. So new registration help. This is relative. This is pretty new. This page here, this function here, and I don't know why it took us that long to put it in because it's so useful. It's such a useful thing. I think we're gonna. I've been chatting to development team about doing a similar thing for providers. I think it'd be very useful for providers to have the same identical kind of functionality available to them. But what it is basically is when you register as a volunteer, it's a window. As soon as you finish that registration, you click on register now button. You put in your name, email address, all that stuff. Register now. A window appears. Okay, and it logs them in, but a window appears which fills up the whole screen. And that window is your new registration help. And it's your chance to kind of say whatever you want. Okay, but it tends to be your chance to explain to the volunteer what happens now. Okay, because quite often I know volunteers register and they say, right, and they're left on a page and like, what do I search for opportunities now? What do I do? Do I have to wait? Have I got access to opportunities? Are you going to call me? They're not sure. So it's your chance in this new registration help page to go in there and explain, you know, even if you got numbered points, this is what happens now. Now it's going to be different for all of you. Obviously, some people they'll say once you've registered, you can go in there and you can join opportunities straight away. And there is actually our default one, which kind of says basically that to them. Says, great, go and check your profile information, make sure you're happy with it, but feel free to go ahead and search for opportunities. And that's fine if you want to leave it like that, but usually it's a good idea to kind of to alter it yourself and kind of customize it yourself to your organization, your needs. I do recommend, I think it's, although you can use it for various different things, use it as a very good way to say, this is what's going to happen now. So, for example, I had one the other day I was chatting to, and when a volunteer registered, they didn't have access to the system straight away. They had to get a DBS, a criminal records check done, and then they had to get 2 references done, and then they had to come in for an induction meeting. And only then, once all those things were done, would they be given access to the system. Well, the volunteer doesn't know that. Okay, so it's a really good place to put that information. You can edit the new registration help by going to super admin menu, down to setup, and then it's new registration help on the left hand side. That from memory. Okay, that's something I definitely recommend you doing if you haven't done it already. Okay, so poll number 5 is who has altered it. Oh, I forgot to ask about this. Yeah, so if you want to go in there and do the next poll, I'm just interested. I am generally interested to hear how many people have altered it. Okay, 2 have not. I bet there's a number of people who are not even aware it exists because it's only been in there for a few months. Okay, yeah, most people haven't altered it. So now you know. Go in there, alter it. At least have a look at it and make sure you're happy with it. Sharing of videos. It's a common thing that I see. So how do you share videos? So say, for example, that new registration help page, you wanted to put a link to a video. You say, well, everyone who once they've registered, I want them to watch this video, and it's about kind of what we expect of the volunteer. In which case, first of all, you need to upload the video to YouTube. That's probably the best place to put it. Okay, so once it's uploaded to YouTube, you can then insert that link to that YouTube video into your new registration help page. So you upload it to YouTube, go to your new registration help page, and you've got that little link icon. You see where the red arrow is pointing down to? Looks like a little chain link. If you click on there, then you'd paste in the YouTube link, and then it's going to obviously appear within the new registration help page. So the user can just click on it and it will open up the video. Okay, you see that link in a number of the other places as well, not just the new registration help pages, in emails as well. And yeah, a number of places where you're typing in, you'll be able to see that link button in the toolbar. Okay, sharing files and documents. Who has added things to their resource library? If you want to take a look on the poll for me, or poll on it, vote on it. This also is a relatively new thing. It's been available, I think, the last kind of like 1 year or 2 years or something like that. Okay, it's really useful place. So this document hub, you can add things to the document hub, super admin menu, and it's bottom of the list on the main menu. Okay, and you can add things for either volunteers or for providers. Once you add them, it's literally one click away for either of those users to be able to see what's in that document hub. So you can specify, well, I've got a document here and it's just for volunteers, or just for providers, or both if you want to, when you're adding it into the Team Kinetics system via that super admin menu. The kind of things that you would put in there tend to be kind of best practice links, any kind of document that you think the volunteers would need access to quite frequently. If, for example, now it's similar to that video example I gave before. So if you've got that new registration help page and it says step 1, download this document or view this document and make sure you're happy with it or something like that. When you need somewhere to make some way of making that document available to them, the way you make that document available is you upload it to the document hub. You copy the link as it's shown in that screenshot, so you can like right click and copy that download link, and then you can paste that in as a link into the new registration help page in the way I just told you before. So you click on that little link icon in the toolbar, and then you put paste the link in there, which means that when they go to the new registration help page, they'll be able to see, okay, step 1, I click on this and watch the video. Step 2, I need to read this document. They can click on the link and it will open the document up because the document is stored within the document hub. Okay. And it looks like we've got about even Stevens of people who have and people who haven't. I'm pretty sure when I do training, there's the people who haven't, it's probably because they're not aware it exists. Okay, so now you are aware it exists, and it is very useful. Automated emails. Okay. Now there is probably 100 or something emails which are automatically sent from the system. Now these can be for everything, literally from your new registration email. So when a volunteer registers, they get an email automatically from the system. What does that email say? Well, it says whatever's defined within your customized emails page. Okay. Now they'll all say something, but it will just say our default Team Kinetics default text, basically, which is usually perfectly fine. But I do recommend that you read through these customizable emails and make sure you're happy with the wording of them. You can also add attachments onto the customized emails. The key ones that people tend to be most interested in is obviously the registration email, because every volunteer who registers is going to read that email, or at least have access to it. Volunteer added to an opportunity. So if you manually add a volunteer to an opportunity, they get an email. You've been added to blah, blah, blah opportunity, what that email says. Volunteer application approved. So, you know, if you have an applying opportunity and then the provider or yourself goes in there and approves a volunteer and says, yes, you know, I'm approving you on this opportunity. So they become a fully fledged volunteer on that opportunity. What does that email say when you approve them? A volunteer invited to register. So if you ever use the invite function, you know, volunteer management invite function, you can invite volunteers to come and register on your system. And it sends out an email, you've been invited to register. But the wording of that email, again, can be customized. And volunteer joins an opportunity. So when they click on an opportunity and say, yes, I want to do some litter picking Sunday, they click on the join button. What does that email say? So they're the main ones. I'd say 90% of the ones that I see adjusted fall into that, into those 5 there. Can you add more than one attachment to an email? I think you can, can't you? Rolf, can you pipe up there? I'm pretty sure you can.
No, I don't believe you can.
Oh, I had a 50-50 chance there, Rolf, didn't I? No, I've never been asked that question before, to be fair. But yeah, maybe it's something me and Rolf will have a think about afterwards. If there's any reason why you can.
Incidentally, the attachments are attached as links to the email. Simply because there's no, you don't have to limit the size then, so we don't embed them in the emails. So say you send a bulk email to 1,000 volunteers, you don't send 1,000 copies of that 5 meg PDF around the place. We just send links and they open the link to get to the document.
That's a good point, actually, Rolf. Thank you for mentioning that. Okay, so that's customizing emails. Document Hub, I think I just kind of touched on there, haven't I? Got ahead of myself. Is there a better way to organize them, as I now have lots of documents? Yeah, maybe we can have a look at some more organizational. So the question was, is there a better way to organize the documents within the Document Hub? Maybe it's something.
We've got an outstanding task to put folders in the Document Hub, which will help to organize them.
Yeah, that would be useful. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Document Hub. I think I've covered most of this here. Easy to access, contains. Yep. So when you're adding documents to the Document Hub, it's basically you get 3 choices. One of them is you can put in a link, like google.com, put in a link, or YouTube video link. The second way is you can just put in textual information, just a bit of obviously type out a message that you want to appear when they click on it. Or the third one is you can put files and documents in there. And pretty much most file types you can put in there. Common things to put on there are health and safety information, best practice guide, how you want your providers to create opportunities specifically to you, for you. Because I know sometimes, everyone sets up their system in a different way. So it's quite hard. And people say, oh, have you got a documentation telling them how to create an opportunity? Well, it depends how your system is set up, which is why there's no cast iron. This is how you do it. So it's better, I think, to do like a cheat sheet explaining this is how I want you to set up an opportunity. I do want you to add an image, and I do want you to, make it a joining opportunity, and with no restrictions. So you can clarify exactly how you want them to set that up. Also, files involved in your induction process. So I mentioned that before. If you've got, if once they register, you've got a set list of things you want them to do. One of them is watch a video. The second one is read a document of kind of what's, what you require, what you expect the volunteer, how you expect the volunteer to behave, kind of best practice document. Then you put that in Document Hub, and then you put a link out to it from that new registration help page. Okay. Is there any questions around that Document Hub? Custom emails do control under the second one. Sorry, it says, well, the question is, with the custom emails, do we control under what circumstances they are sent? Example, can certain ones be turned off? They can be to a certain degree. So if you go to opportunities, so for example, we know with events, often people say, well, I have to move around lots of volunteers on opportunities. I have to move what sessions they're on, and this, that, and they don't change the times and dates. There is a pause notifications button, a pause emails button within each opportunity. So if you click on that, it will no longer send that automated email when you move somebody, you add somebody or remove somebody from a session. It will pause sending. Most of the things you would absolutely want someone to receive an email, so there is no switch off. You know, someone registers, then you expect, and there's no obvious reason I could think of when you wouldn't email them at the same time to confirm that the registration has gone ahead. Rolf, do you want to jump in there?
Yeah, so you can't turn random emails on and off from that screen, but there are plenty of options in the super admin menu under communications, email communications, as to whether you send emails in certain situations. And that doesn't cover all the emails, but it covers quite a few about whether you send them when people join an opportunity, when they join a session, when they leave a session. There's quite a few options there for reducing the number of emails that get sent. But no, you can't just pick random ones off that list and say do or do not send. Although it's a good idea. Yeah,
I was going to say it's not a bad idea, is it? To do that. When you're looking down that list as well, sometimes it's a bit daunting when you look down the list of all the emails you can customize. You don't have to. When you read them, it's quite self-evident which ones are going to attain to you. You know, if it says our trades, if you don't use our trades, then don't bother changing the email because it's never going to be sent, for example. Sorry, Rolf picked up on a good point there. There is a number of options when you could say when a provider or when an admin receives emails, but just for volunteers, it's the main one is you can switch it off on an opportunity basis, so you can move people around, and it's not going to email all the volunteers all the time while you're making those adjustments. Questions? Okay, any questions over anything I've covered there? No? Well, it's pretty good timing then, isn't it? Okay, well, if there's no further questions, like I say, the supporting document, so feel free to look at the supporting document, and it tells you in more detail exactly how you do these things. And yeah, have a go at them, because it makes a big difference to the kind of look and feel of your system from the public's perspective. So please have a read through. If you haven't done some of these things, at least have a crack at it and see what it's about, because it will improve the look and feel of your system, like I said.